S-Class Heroes, humanity's strongest known defenders in the world of One Punch Man. They have gained accolades and admiration for their exceptional display in battle against mysterious beings who would seek to plunge the world into ruin. And without these heroes, and one other bald guy, Earth would have faced tremendous despair on countless occasions. Due to their renowned efforts, the citizens and hero industry alike recognize both their excellence and their importance, knowing that to be associated within the S-Class means you stand in a league above all others. For the world of One Punch Man, being a human with this standard of power usually leads you down the road of a hero, meaning these incredibly gifted individuals do not typically remain out of the hero spotlight for long, and end up either joining the Hero Association or the recently formed Neo Heroes group. However, there are still humans out there who have not become heroes with either organization, and today, we're going to look at those humans who have transcended into S-Class territories of power, yet are either not known to the world at large, or have declined legal ties to any hero organization. Naturally, this means all those officially within either the Hero Association or Neo Heroes will be disqualified from this video. Sorry Suryu, signing that Neo Heroes contract means you don't get to be here anymore. Starting off with who should be this list's most famous character within the narrative of One Punch Man, we have Bomb, who is the older brother of Bang and the creator of the Whirlwind Iron Cutting Fist. Quick side note, can you imagine naming your children Bang and Bomb? What kind of life are you trying to set these kids up for? Touch on the first point I made, Bomb is perhaps the most famous non-hero S-Class level combatant due to being known as the greatest martial arts master on the planet alongside his brother. Standing atop the world of hand-to-hand combat already gives him a reputation as one of the most lethal men alive, and we know from experience that he has the power to prove it. We saw him making cold cuts of various monsters during their encounter with Garou, and when push came to shove, Bomb proved his fists were capable of making even the ginormous Sentichoro stop in place when he and Bang delivered a mind-blowing combination attack to the dragon level monster, which cracked its entire outer shell and forced it to molt. We then saw later on how Bomb was able to survive against and knock overgrown Rover back when working with Bang, with Fubuki even being astonished at Bomb's incredible power to the point where she compared his strength to that of Bang himself. By his displays against both Sentichoro and Rover, it's already more than clear that he's within the S-Class category of power. Yet, for the final cherry on top, we have his performance against Sleeping Monster Garou, who is comfortably one of the strongest foes any S-Class hero has ever faced, and also was not holding back due to his unconscious state blinding his morals. Bomb was able to not only knock this ruthless form of Monster Garou back with a well-timed strike, but then continued to exchange blows with him for a meaningful amount of time, taking and landing attacks against a combination of technique and power which would trouble most S-Class heroes. What's even more impressive is that Bomb was able to hold out this long immediately after transferring a heavy amount of his energy to a severely wounded tanked up master, courtesy of Fubuki's energy transference. He gave so much energy that it left him panting and sweating in exhaustion. Then the aforementioned Sleeping Garou turned up right there and then, so his impressive display against such an opponent was off the back of him being significantly drained. What do you think of Bomb? Let me know in the comments. Next is Speeder Sound Sonic, former member of the 44th graduation class of the Ninja Village and the eternal rival of Saitama. Speeder Sound Sonic's level of power can sometimes be easy to overlook when your most notable memories of him include being one-punched by Saitama a bunch of times or having his bulge touched inappropriately. However, the series has made it clear that Sonic is no joke when he gets going. As early as Season 1 we saw him being capable of tangling with Deep Sea King, who defeated Puri Puri Prisoner. And after every encounter which doesn't go his way, he trains tirelessly to reach new levels each time. By Season 2, he was already showing superiority to Genos when he finally dialed up the heat in their fiery encounter, instantly proving without a shadow of a doubt that his power firmly sits in the echelon of S-Class. What's more, however, is that the true level of his ability is still overlooked by many. Sonic is not just fast for S-Class standards. No, he's very fast. After the events of the Monster Association raid, Sonic contested against Flashy Flash in a short battle which saw him show some level of relativity to the man who was able to fight Monster Garou and Platinum S in exchanges which looked like this. While it was clear that Flashy Flash held a considerable edge over Sonic in their encounter, to be able to keep up with Flash means that he's already far faster than nearly the entire Hero Association. Further proven by how later on his movements even managed to surprise Flash once Sonic upped the ante and moved so fast that he created over 30 after image clones of himself. Yes, 30. He moved so fast that it looked like there were more than 30 of him. In other series, characters need to create actual living clones of themselves to get that many versions of themselves. Sonic here just starts sidestepping and he's made his own version of the Star Wars clone army. Considering that Flash is one of the most powerful overall S-Class heroes, going by his showings in the Monster Association raid, Sonic being able to keep up with him, defend his flashy kicks, and even have Flash admit Sonic could have landed a counterattack if he started to fight more seriously, shows that Sonic's power ranking within the S-Class could be a lot higher than one might have even initially thought. Continuing the ninja train, we have Gale Wind and Hellfire Flame. Both of these criminals were known as S-Class criminals, which is an easy enough way to say that they're S-Class level humans who are on the wrong side of the law, which makes them still correct for this list of non-hero humans with S-Class capabilities. They're from the same ninja village which Flashy Flash and Speeder Sound Sonic hail from after their time there, and were the top 2 graduates from the 37th graduation class known as the Golden. Since they're capable of reprising their human form despite monsterization, and seem to only be in human form lately, I'll throw them onto this list instead of disqualifying them as monsters. But if they ever go full monster, then we'll just discount them after the fact. It's like they said in Tropic Thunder. Never go full oh, wait, slightly different quote. Anyway, we know that in their human form, they're demon level category monsters, which immediately pegs them as S-Class 2 on the human side, contending with a more casual Flashy Flash and initially putting the pressure on Speeder Sound Sonic before the Monster Association raid very easily signifies these two as S-Class caliber in human form. What's that though? You want another ninja? To Shinobi or not to Shinobi? Well, it's very Shinobi because we have the Teninto, also known as the Heavenly Ninja Party. I don't know about you guys, but the latter throws me off a bit. When I hear the name Heavenly Ninja Party, I'm expecting to see a lot of angelically hot ninja babes. But well, it's not the case, is it? Anyway, my dreams aside, your dreams aside, I mean, the Teninto is a group of 21 ninja who each possess mastery over ninjutsu and have their own little specialties to go with it. However, we've only really seen them fight with overwhelming numbers on their side or using sneak attacks, or both, so it's hard to say how exactly strong each of them are. Are they all S-Class level individually? Are some of them S-Class level and some A-Class level or below? It's hard to say for certain, so instead I want to single out one guy who impressed me in particular who fought in the group battle against Flashy Flash and Speeder Sound Sonic. That man is Brawny Muscle. Let me tell you, this guy did not turn up for tea and biscuits. He was not messing around. So as the Teninto squared up to take on Flash and Sonic, let's run the play-by-play on Brawny Muscle. As soon as the fight starts, this big boy who looks like Ryu from Street Fighter on steroids blitzes Gale Wind and Hellfire Flame from behind before they can react. He then proceeds to wallop the both of them with a single punch, which sends the both of them speeding off towards his enemies like they were getting knocked off a Super Smash Bros stage. His next moment is rushing in towards Flashy Flash, and with a single punch he breaks his sword, disarming one of the fastest S-Class heroes and putting him on the back foot. Right after this, Sonic steps up and uses his sidestep technique, which was so fast that it created over 30 after images from his movement alone. Brawny Muscle, however, does not give a single F and pinpoints him with a back fist hard enough to get Sonic spitting out some blood. Brawny Muscle's performance is like in sports games when you get your debut in career mode and the manager throws you on near the end of the match and says, "Hey, you've got 2 minutes, go out there and make an impact." This guy got his work in, so he was the standout for me entire Teninto, and no one bothered him until Blast came and knocked the whole lot of them on the head. But that's Blast, so what can you do? And that's the end of the ninjas. Hooray. Actually, I lied. There's another, but we'll get to him later. The Council of Swordmasters minus Atomic Samurai are what we're looking at now. Nichirin, Amahare, Zanbai, and Haragiri are, or were, all S-Class non-heroes by way of them being on the council to begin with. To sit alongside Atomic Samurai as part of that group speaks volumes considering his warrant for strength in those he associates with. and with his S-class disciples having to wait outside in their meeting, it paints a very clear picture for the prowess of those actually part of the meeting. Of course, Amahare and Zanbai were killed during the Monster Association raid, then were replaced with their offspring in the form of Yuta and Shido. For these two, we don't actually know how strong they are. However, to be able to slot right into the Council of Swordmasters should prove they are strong enough to fraternize with Atomic and Nichiren as peers in a meeting, while the likes of Atomic's disciples have to stand out back, shoot in the breeze. Again, just speculation based on what the narrative suggests, but worth mentioning, so no need to take these newer characters as S-class level yet, just to keep in mind. We saw in the Monster Association raid how capable Nichiren is, and also in other parts of the story, he's demonstrated his bewildering amount of skill with the blade. He was able to cut an apple apart into pieces which reattach seamlessly via slices which go between the cells. Yeah, I wouldn't want to get into a knife fight with him either. So, Council of Swordmasters are or were pretty much S-class all around, with the latest additions still being unclear at this point. The next guy earns his place with the power of his mind. It's Apollo. This dapper guy dressed in black is an artificial Esper and works as an agent for the organization known as Tsukiyomi. We first saw him when he came to collect Psykos from the Hero Association, but thankfully the interference from both Fubuki and Tatsumaki ensured that cruel fate for her never came to pass. During this confrontation, we learned that while Apollo is no match for Tatsumaki, he'd certainly be no pushover if it were anyone else. After Tatsumaki casually sent him crashing into a wall, Apollo actually managed to survive the attack which was otherwise meant to incapacitate him. His quick recuperation caused even Tatsumaki to begrudgingly admit that the field of artificial psychics has improved, if only slightly. Fubuki, someone known to gauge S-class power well when she sees it, also noted to herself that he was strong after seeing this, which is a compliment she usually only saves for those you would expect to see in the S-class, or those who could be, barring any other circumstances. However, it was very clear that he didn't reach anywhere close to Tatsumaki's ability, yet to be able to enter in contention against both her and Fubuki while also managing to escape the situation using a combination of strategy, fortune and psychic ability shows that he is a man to take seriously if you yourself don't possess grand psychic powers. I mean, let's be honest, if you're making an active effort to become Tatsumaki's enemy, you better damn well hope you're S-class level at least. On that note, someone else who is S-class in their scale of power is the lady mentioned not too long ago, Psykos, the architect of the Monster Association and a psychic capable of taking on a limited Tatsumaki, something which is impressive even if the hero wasn't at her full power during that encounter. Psykos can punish people with waves of 300 times gravity, shoot powerful lasers from her eyes which cause mass destruction upon impact, telekinetically dominate opponents who are comfortably within the S-class rank of power, and more. Everything done through Gyoro is within the realm of her human ability, since she was practically chilling in the lower regions of the base while she masqueraded around in that form using her powers. And judging how the inner workings of the Monster Association spun on her fingers as Gyoro, that along with everything else she performed before the Psykos Orochi form easily makes her S-class territory for power as a non-hero human within the series. Even when taking into account the potion she drank right before turning up a notch against Tatsumaki, her feats prior to that still cement her as S-class, and you could argue that substance counts as part of her approach to combat, much like how other items, weapons, or equipment other humans use in this series. Judging how the last we saw of Psykos was her being rescued by Fubuki from both the Hero Association and Tsukiyomi, it'll be interesting to see where her story goes from here. Okay, I told you another ninja was coming, and it's Empty Void. Ironically, his name best describes how I feel watching One Punch Man Season 3. Empty Void was Blast's old partner, the founder of the Ninja Village, and the man known as the most powerful ninja in history. Probably don't even really need to say much more than that to make it clear how easily he makes it into the non-hero S-class category. However, we'll say some more. Having joined up with Blast to track down the mysterious cubes, sooner or later he succumbed to God's influence and became an enemy of Blast until he was defeated. From there, he spent time recovering under the shroud of the Ninja Village, his location secret from those who would seek to capture him. Eventually, he recovered, and once he did, his first encounter was Saitama. Now, that's rough. Imagine waiting all that time to get better after failing to take over the world. Now you're finally ready to get back in the game. and your first matchup is the One Punch Man himself? Anyway, after getting the god knocked out of him, literally, we see Void return to his former bearings, now back in control of himself and human once more. It's right after that we see him make Chop Suey of Genbu, a mysterious being placed on the disaster level of Dragon or higher, then effortlessly defend himself from the combined attacks of Flash and Sonic until Blast stepped in. Empty Void is not only another non-hero S-class human, but in this entire list, he is by far and away the most powerful of them all, and with his head clear from that mysterious influence, we'll finally get to see him working alongside Blast once more, which should be very exciting. Before I sign off, yes, Garou technically counts for this list too. He's fully human again, and he's not yet a hero, and we all know very well by this point that he can smack some S-class ass. You guys all know everything you need to know about Garou, so I don't need to do this part. But it will be interesting to see how much of his power he has retained when it's time for him to get back in the game. If I were to guess, I'd imagine he'd be at about the power level he had just before monsterization started to kick in, so he's not going to be smoking everyone like he was as a monster. At least not yet. Anyway, that's all I've got for you. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. Thank you.